I don't think.
Okay, we're coming back into open session at 7:03 PM. Thank you guys for all being here tonight, appreciate it. There's no reportable action from the closed session. We're gonna move on to item F, the consent calendar. Any public comment on the consent calendar, which includes the 24-25 audited basic financial statements and management report? You didn't read that?
Well, I read it. There's a lot of big words, so I
Yeah.
better not to ask.
A lot of numbers.
Any questions then from the board on any of that?
No, I don't like it too. This is,
Very nice.
Yeah, it's, again, a testament to our staff that we get clean audits year after year after year after year. Thank you guys.
no, improved, improvement every year.
Exactly. Can I get a motion then?
Move to
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Would you like?
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item G, public comment open time for items not on the agenda. Nothing? All right. And we'll go to item H, district matters. Marinwood CSD draft policy to establish the criteria and procedures for recognizing lease and subscription assets and liabilities on the balance sheet as required by the Government Accounting Standards Board, statements number 87 and 96.
Yeah, I give you a brief status or staff report on this. Both GASB statements, 87, 96, are fairly recent. They have showed up as recommendations on a past audit. In working with our auditor, we found a sample policy and he provided guidance on financial threshold amounts. So this policy has actually been kind of put together in conjunction with our auditor. As it stands right now, it really doesn't impact how we are currently capitalizing and or recognizing anything on our books. It's pretty rare for us to be in any sort of a lease agreement over the $100,000 threshold. The only one I can think of, the two in my time, one would be for the fire engine, the other would be technically our maintenance facility. The loan that we took out for that was considered a lease right to use loan. But both of those are already capitalized and depreciated and are listed and stated on our books as outstanding debt. And not the fire engine anymore because that got paid off. But, and then as far as an IT subscription exceeding 100,000, I can't envision a scenario where that would happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so literally not a lot of impact, but a regulation that we should have a policy for.
Okay. Anybody have
So
questions?
would we need to change how the main, okay.
Nope, it's already capitalized and recognized within assets and liabilities on our balance sheet.
Okay. Lisa, any questions?
None.
Good. Any public comment on that? All right. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We go there, Tiffany? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, H2 fiscal year 25-26 second quarter P&L budget to actuals financial statements.
Yep, okay, again, a fairly detailed staff report on this one. Just kind of give you some of the net highlights here throughout the first couple of quarters. Again, you know, in December, we received our first allocation of ad valorem property taxes as well as our special assessments. We've got received a little over 1.47 million net in property taxes after the county fees and a little over 1.03 in combined net special assessments. It's right on track with where we expected. The property tax actually a little bit higher than we were expecting, so I'm anticipating those will come in a little bit higher at year end. Typically, we get 55% of anticipated total in December, so we're tracking a little bit above that mark in relationship to how it was budgeted.
Okay.
So that's good. As of 12/31/25, we had just over 9 million within our treasury fund. Of course, of that, 800,000 are currently held as board designated reserves, and then there's approximately 312,000 that are designated funds for MWPA. meaning we can only spend it on MWPA allowable expenditures, both within D-space category and local veg management project category. So you net out at approximately $7.89 million in unrestricted funds within our general fund account right now. And then also as of 12/31, we had approximately almost $262,000 in Measure A funds set aside, and are expecting an additional $60,000 this fiscal year to come in with the second half of the year. So we're doing okay there, again, right where we expected, although I think we've already identified exactly where every one of those dollars is gonna wind up being spent. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And again, all of that is just, it's simply a reflection of cash flow. When money comes in, when money goes out in expenditures. The one nice thing that I would like to report, as of 12/31/25, the quarter end, our OPEB trust fund actually has a stated balance of just over $1 million, almost 1.05 million in the fund. If you remember, we started this fund, I think it was 2018, with an initial $60,000 deposit, and have been depositing $100,000 every year into the fund, plus it's an investment account. So for that to grow over $1 million when the district had absolutely nothing set aside for future OPEB liability, I think is great. It actually is probably a little bit more than 20% or so of our total liability, so that's moving that certainly in the right direction. And then again, Q3, as always, the rec team is about to get significantly busy with registration calls and activities, so those start to come in. I believe they open in the beginning of March.
Yeah.
So that always represents a large cash inlay for all of that. And then we'll also be receiving 50% of the total revenue for our CSA 13 fire contract. I'm expecting 100% of the revenue for the other county facility fire and the school portion of that. So we are, again, right on target with where we expect to be, if not even doing slightly better.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to answer any other questions. I tried to give you a few variance notes on the end of just some items of note within that.
Anybody have any questions? Public comment? All right. And we'll move right into H3, District Manager Reports.
Yeah, the big one that I put on there, mostly because I needed a venting session, is our issues with ADP and some of the tax filing mistakes that they have caused, as we told them, and we were very clear in our termination letter, in writing, well, in December, that they are not to produce any year-end tax filings, are not to produce W-2s. They went ahead and done all of that anyway, because the internal communication system within ADP needs help. Fortunately, our new payroll company was able to pivot very, very quickly based on this information and submit amended, what's known as a Form 941X, acknowledging the mistake. We're still working with ADP, trying to get them to fully pull back their W-2s so that our employees don't have any issues. Our employees have been issued by the district completely correct and proper W-2s as produced by our new company. One of the problems that we had is employees who were on utilizing the ADP app received an alert through the app that said, your W-2 is ready. So they pulled that, and I know of at least one, maybe two employees who actually filed with that W-2, so they have to make an amended file as well. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've certainly hiked this up our ladder a little bit to see what other sense of recourse we might have on this. ADP, due to their internal processing constraints, is anticipating hopefully by the end of the month to pull all falsely filed W-2s back from IRS. They did, once we caught it, they did block out access to their W-2s to all of our employees, but the people who jumped the gun very, very quickly. So needless to say, we don't miss ADP. We're happy to have moved on. I did have an interesting, I actually just kind of sat in on, and Chief Cynic could probably talk a little bit more about this too, interesting community meeting that we allowed to be held here in this room regarding the Carmelite Monastery at 530 Blackstone Drive. Supervisor Sackett had reached out, along with the neighbor who lives up there, asking if we had a space for them to hold a meeting. There was a group of residents in that immediate area that were seeking additional information as to what the usage plans were for that. Carmelite, again, be very, very clear, we have zero role in any of this, with the exception of fire code compliance type things, which Chief Senate is already well on top of, review and everything else. But they are looking, right now they have a transitional program for women there, and they are looking to actually remodel their existing infrastructure and facilities to create 9 permanent living units, single occupancy living units, with the idea that when people are able to move on from the transitional housing environment, this is an opportunity for them to move into a more permanent, the program, while it's a combination through Catholic Charities, it's primarily run through Health and Human Services with the county, the program is anyway. So that's what's going on. Again, we held it here. It was a very interesting meeting to attend, but it looks like by all intent and purposes, they're moving forward with that property. I know that it had shown up on on the housing element that the county did a couple years ago, and there was some concern that that property might be redeveloped into multiple housings. It doesn't sound like that's gonna be the case, but it sounds like they wanna just kind of expand program in a pretty slight manner, in my opinion, within their existing facilities, existing footprint, just by creating and building out these 9 independent living units.
And will those be up to code fire?
Oh, they'll have to be.
Correct.
Because there's no way that building's
No,
up to fire code.
we became involved from a fire code review standpoint. The project, as Eric mentioned, is an interior remodel of a portion of an existing building. They're not adding on to anything, they're not building any new structure.
They don't need to add any, have you,
Yeah, it's huge.
have you guys ever seen it? Have you ever been in it?
I got my piano from there.
I know, but have you been in it?
Yes.
Like
Had
the
to
two
get the piano
buildings?
down the stairs.
It's huge, so that's where I'm like, they don't need to add any more, but.
No, they're not. They're remodeling and renovating a portion of it. The neighbors approached the fire department with concerns regarding built-in fire protection systems, vegetation management, evacuation matters. We had already done a review and determined that the scope of the remodel, unfortunately, did not trigger fire sprinklers. The property is not protected by fire sprinklers. The scope of the remodel does not trigger a fire sprinkler retrofit. Unfortunately, the scope of the remodel is well below the threshold that would require the facility be brought up to code with fire sprinklers.
Interesting.
So that was actually peer reviewed with the county building official and the county fire marshal just to confirm that no mistakes were made. We've been as responsive and helpful to the residents who are concerned as possible. They're concerned about evacuation issues, so our emergency management division is going to be looking into evacuation, not just on Blackstone, but in Marinwood as a whole, and they'll be working with staff to address that. We have a team addressing any vegetation management concerns on the property. Some of our staff members will be meeting with Catholic Charities staff in the very near future to walk the property and cite any concerns or violations. And the property owners on Blackstone have been kept completely up to date on what we can and can't do and our forward progress. So they've been given recommendations and suggestions in order to improve the fire safety for their own properties, evacuation, disaster preparedness, several links and websites for additional information. So we're doing everything we can to not only ensure that the property itself meets all codes, but address the neighbor concerns as well.
Sure.
In a very constructive, positive, and responsive fashion.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Definitely a unique property.
Yeah.
that lives within our community.
Yeah.
It's a
Similar,
big
similar to the Cedars in Ross, if you're familiar with that. Very
Okay.
similar, yeah.
Eric, do they pay property taxes? Either way?
They are on the tax roll. They may be exempt from general ad valorem. I would have to double check that, I don't know, but they're not exempt that I know of from our special assessments.
Okay, not for the special assessments, for the, okay, because you mentioned that they're putting in 9 units. So are those
I don't
gonna
think
be
they're units like
determined
you're
like
thinking.
rental units?
They won't contain a kitchen, so they won't meet the definition of a
Right.
unit in that,
I'm just
in
curious.
that manner. They won't even have a kitchenette.
So it'd be
I'd have to
dormitory
revisit.
style, my guess,
They'd be what, I'm sorry?
dormitory?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
gonna be expanded dormitories.
yeah, because they don't have a
Dormitory.
communal kitchen,
Okay,
communal meeting areas, things like that.
Have you
Yeah, I'd
been
have to revisit the whole thing.
there? Have you ever been there?
oh, yeah.
It's a trip.
It's a very large property. They own a large secondary open space parcel behind their property too,
Yeah.
so they have a lot of property. Otherwise, if there's no other questions on that, a couple other quick items of note. As you may recall, several years ago, several special districts throughout Marin, in working with CSDA, formed the Marin County local chapter of the Special District Association. They actually, it's gotten a little bit more active lately and had a large in-person annual meeting where they invited people from all special districts across the county, whether they were members or not. There was a good showing at it. Tam hosted it. This was just last week. I did attend. Derek Johnson, who is the county executive for Marin, was one of the speakers, kind of gave a brief update on Marin County's vision and priorities that they're working on right now, as well as a regional CSDA representative, and then the LAFCO executive officer, Jason Freed, attended good as well. So it was a good meeting. I'm glad to see that going up again, because I think it's important the special districts kind of communicate and band together on items that impact all of us. And then beyond that, we've already started work on the 26-27 operating budget. So straight out of the audit, straight into the new budget process. So with next board meeting, you'll receive the first kind of progress to date draft of that, with the goal of by the April meeting, you're kind of looking at a 95-98% completed version of it, ready for adoption in May.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody have any questions, anything else?
No, just thank you.
Yep. Public comment? All right. Then we will go on to item I, fire department matters. Anybody have anything from the fire commission? Lisa, you attended, you wanna give us a little rundown?
I did attend, it was actually, it was a good meeting. We learned quite a bit about Firewise and how to sort of move forward and communicate out about how we might incorporate the Firewise program into our community. Chief Senate was there as well and told us more about it from his perspective. So that was really the main portion of the meeting, was really discussing that. So I don't know if anybody else who was there might want to add anything.
I think you covered it well. I'm excited to put together a community meeting and kind of through and with in cooperation with the fire commission, which I think gives them an interesting project to work on, and they were the ones who originally kind of brought this idea to the table. We're just working on finalizing a potential date with a representative from Fire Safe Marin, who does a lot of work within the Firewise Communities program, and then we will utilize the main room and make sure we advertise it well and create some banners to put up at the entrances, ultimately to educate and encourage residents to form Firewise communities in their neighborhoods.
Do you think that we could get in coordinating that, the general manager of the NWPA to attend also?
Possibly.
I mean, coordinating both Firewise and,
Possibly. One of the things that we also had talked about doing, and looking at it from a local, was time allowing, also
Right.
providing information, a brief presentation on local fire prevention efforts ongoing, primarily through MWPA, which would, include all of the D-space and home hardening evaluations that have happened, the recommendations that come out of that, the local vegetation management that happens, as well as the core funding that's going on in more of the kind of San Rafael area zone. So it could happen, but I think also we were looking at, San Rafael has a really top-notch fire prevention team, and allowing them to come in and have the opportunity to kind of present a lot of that, I think makes a lot of sense. I could talk to Mark about it, but we'll see.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought
Mm-hmm.
it would be good to have everybody
Yeah.
involved.
Mm-hmm. And if not Mark, maybe Ann.
If we could, yeah, well, and especially,
Mm-hmm.
especially if we're gonna advertise, and you could fill that room.
I feel like it would be well attended, and we're looking at a weeknight, with ideally like maybe a 6 o'clock start time or something like that. So give plenty of notice, might have to shift around some regular happenings that go on in there anyway, but it's important, I think, we definitely get strong attendance, and we want to do it in the spring as we're,
Right.
kind of heading into summer when this becomes much more top of everybody's mind as well too. And as far as Firewise communities go, I mean, they're really a community-driven, resident-driven. It's not, our fire department and our district can support in appropriate ways, but it's up to them to form their communities and to do the work that goes behind it, which really isn't a lot of work when it's said and done.
Right.
But I think it's important work, and I also think it addresses a lot of the concerns that people are expressing around, insurance challenges and insurance, that has been kind of shown to be one of the few things that insurance companies actually do pay attention to, and if your home's in a Firewise community, it can certainly help.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just curious, Chief,
Yes,
knowing that, I believe it's Berkeley has started instituting some of the new things that the state is, I don't know if we call it recommending or mandating, if you guys ever collaborate with them or, either formally or informally.
I'm sure informally, Chief
Yeah.
Roman, that's where he came from,
Okay.
was Berkeley,
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
sure he's up to speed on a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure Quinn Gardner, who
Okay,
heads up the D-Space team.
okay.
um,
I was
is-
just curious because I know they're doing the 0 to 5 or whatever, there's a common term there, right? But,
Yeah, 5 out.
5, is that what it is, 5 out, okay. I know that they're implementing that in some spaces in Berkeley, and I was just curious what that has, if there's any feedback there.
We can get some for you.
I'm sure
Happy
we'll
to.
do this first and then go there, right? Okay, thank you, I appreciate
Sure.
that. Anybody have any further questions? No? Public comment? I don't want to forget you. All right, then let's go to item I2, the resolution 2026-01, Government Code Section 20221, determination of reevaluation of a former employee's continued qualification for disability by the governing body.
Yeah, this is a unique item, and unique in the fact that in talking with several other fire agencies and fire chiefs, nobody's ever actually heard of this being required to happen before. We were contacted by CalPERS back in September stating that they are initiating a reevaluation for a former Marinwood employee who retired on an industrial disability retirement, and that this person would need to go back through a medical evaluation, answer some other forms, so on and so forth, and that because this person is a safety professional, all of the responsibility to perform all this work falls on the district as opposed to CalPERS, because that's how it's written within the public employee retirement law. You as boards have been provided with sealed confidential information regarding recent medical evaluations that did take place. This resolution basically states that you have reviewed such information and you find, based on that information as provided by a competent medical professional, that you believe that this employee continues to be substantially incapacitated within the meaning of the Public Employees Retirement Law for performance of his duties in the position of firefighter paramedic. With that, I would just kind of ask if there are any initial questions to this. I will tell you, this is, again, not a process I had ever been necessarily aware of, certainly have never gone through, and couldn't find anybody who had.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Where do I begin?
I don't know.
I just, the reevaluation that, from what I read, seems to be exactly what the first go-round was for the disability. Like, nothing changed from the doctor's perspective.
Right.
The point of this is what?
I don't
I'm at a
disagree.
loss, I just don't
I don't
understand
disagree with
this.
you, Bill. What I can tell you is in the initial evaluation, when you guys first approved the resolution, the conditions were certainly marked by a qualified medical examiner as permanent and stationary. So the fact that these conditions remain permanent and stationary, and these are two different doctors now at this point who have performed these reports, kind of solidifies that initial finding. What I can tell you is I certainly push back on CalPERS as to the need of this, as well as to why is the district the agency responsible for doing this, if CalPERS is the agency that is initiating and requiring it. There was some reasoning behind how this particular individual got chosen. But at the end of the day, I don't disagree with you. I think it was an exercise that took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of formal communications to bring us right back to where we were several years ago.
Time, as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
so.
Got any
Motion to
questions?
approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Before you move on,
Oh, yep.
I will take that, everything that we have at this point, I'll have you sign the resolution. I will be moving it back over to CalPERS in the hopes that they find all of this to be acceptable. Who knows, might come back, tell us, no, you gotta do something else, I don't know.
Okay.
Again, nobody's really been through this, I've had several calls and meetings with them. To their credit, they've been somewhat helpful in making sure that we understood the process and protocol and how this has to move forward. Not necessarily helpful in explaining why this is our responsibility to take this on. This is a former employee, but neither here nor there, so hopefully this is the end of it.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate the extra time.
Yeah.
Moving on to item I3, update on the current status of discussions with City of San Rafael regarding a potential agreement for full staffing services of the Marinwood Fire Station 58. A verbal update. I would update that the discussions have picked up a little bit of pace. Our next meeting is going to be February 20th at 2:30 p.m. And that's the ad hoc committee, which on this board is Lisa, myself, with Eric joining us. And just trying to move those forward, right? I know from our standpoint, we're very excited in terms of we want to keep this going. We feel like it hasn't been moving at the pace that we would want. We feel like it's very important for a lot of different reasons. And we're really happy that San Rafael is ready to engage in a more active conversation again. Lisa, anything else?
That was perfectly stated, thank you.
Eric?
You summed it up from this point last month to today, that's kind of where we're at. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No,
All right.
looking forward to.
Public comment?
Not tonight, thank you.
Come on. Okay. Item I for Chief Officer Report and Activity Summary. Chief, thank you so much for being here
Oh,
today.
it's my pleasure.
I know you're a busy man, and
No,
it's nice to have you here with us. I appreciate
It's
that.
it's my honor to be here. In fact, I plan to attend both the Fire Commission and Board of Directors meetings from here forward,
Oh,
if the
great,
chief
thank
allows
you.
me to.
Okay,
I have a deep connection to agencies like Marinwood. Some of you might know, I explained this at the Fire Commission meeting recently, that I come from Larkspur. Most of my career was in Larkspur. It's a very small community. It's similar to Marinwood. I just have an affiliation for communities of this size. I live in Larkspur still with my family. That's where I raised my family. But I have a very strong connection to Marinwood. I enjoy very much the fire crew. I think you've got an outstanding group of firefighters. I worked closely with Tom Roach for a number of years when he was coming up through the ranks, and he was the chief. So I do have a deep connection with you. So I enjoy participating with both the board and the fire commission. So
We appreciate that.
Thank you for putting up with me.
We will say the same, and we agree about our firefighting staff. We think they're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to apologize because I'm trying to get in sync with the fire commission report and the board of directors report, and I blew it to this meeting. I didn't get the board of directors report in time to get into your packet, so.
We're all good.
I apologize for that. It's a fairly brief report. I just wanted to comment on the January 9th structure fire on Grande Paseo that occurred in the early afternoon. Motorists actually were in the area and noticed the column of smoke from Ringwood Avenue. Drove onto Grande Paseo, saw the fire that was actually on a deck above the garage against the second floor of the condominium or townhouse. These individuals knocked on the door and actually alerted the occupants that were home that there was a fire. They didn't even know. Were able to get them out, and then one of the passers-by, along with one of the residents, attempted to extinguish the fire. Marinwood showed up promptly, did an outstanding job of controlling the fire. It was a first alarm, so it had multiple resources, including Santa Fe's truck company. Damage was confined to that particular townhouse. Unfortunately, the damage was to the extent where it could not be occupied afterwards. It did damage to the interior of the second floor and some water and smoke damage throughout. But fortunately, the fire was confined to that townhouse of origin.
That's great.
If that fire would have occurred at 2 a.m., it would have been a much different outcome, because probably a passing motorist would not have seen it, and the residents, everybody would have been asleep, and it could have had a much different outcome. So everything kind of worked in favor of quick confinement and extinguishment. No injuries, but the residents were temporarily displaced. So,
Chief, did they find the cause?
yeah, we suspect it was. It looked like the patio was used as an area for smoking. A lot of smoking materials and other flammables in the area that would have contributed to the ignition and spread, especially in an area where nobody saw it until it actually really got going. It got into the walls and then partially into the structure on the second floor. But quick stop, aggressive attack, and fortunately a successful outcome. So, and there was a fire actually that Marinwood responded directly into in Novato. Second alarm structure fire, single family dwelling, and Captain Brackett was on the engine. Would you mind just giving a few comments on what that entailed today?
Yeah, no, we heard the initial report, and it came in as a dangerous occupancy with potential hoarding going on. So we were on the second alarm. We were actually driving on the freeway, got off at DeLong, had to get dressed. Made it to the scene, and we were assigned to Division Charlie at the back of the structure, and just we were searching to see if there was a resident inside. No resident was found, so I think everyone made it out safe. And it took a while to extinguish, just because you couldn't walk anywhere, inside, outside, anything like that. So, but it was a good effort by Novato Fire and Novato PD, and just that collaborative effort of Santa Fe. There was Engine 57, Engine 56 showed up. Us, all in the second alarm.
Wow.
So, yeah, so we were there a couple hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Personnel update, the firefighter paramedic, I was told, has successfully passed the background and medical, and so is on track to land here in Marinwood in the very near future. I think Chief Roman and the training captain are trying to outline I think what will be an abbreviated training academy and orientation in order to bring this new employee successfully online, become a member of the Marinwood Fire Department, but I think everybody's looking forward to that,
Yeah, right?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Engine 58 has, and possibly still is, continuing to train on fire ground operations at the training tower. If I'm,
Yeah, we have another one tomorrow.
Okay.
and, Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's important to note, you already know this, we regard Engine 58 as one of our own.
Right.
We're all one
Appreciate
team.
that.
And like I said, you have an outstanding group, and they're just, they integrate and work with San Rafael firefighters. It's seamless. And what's great is regular training just continues to increase the collaboration and coordination and just remove any sort of seam whatsoever between the two agencies, so that everybody's really acting as one agency. So that's how everybody in San Rafael regards Marinwood.
That's
We're all just one
fantastic.
agency.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
We're pleased to work with Marinwood from the San Rafael perspective.
Right.
Our prevention team has been active. It's interesting, Marinwood has 3 major projects either underway or on the books. You've got Talos Reserve, the subdivision down here, 26 homes, Eric, is that correct?
28
28
parcels, and I believe 22 of them will also have, 6 are duplexes on the parcels,
Uh-huh.
and then 22 of the other 22 are, will have ADUs.
So fire prevention staff is on site regularly doing inspections on the fire sprinkler systems that are going in each of those houses. We issued individual fire prevention permits for the sprinkler systems for those homes, so we're there fairly frequently doing inspections. We're involved in the initial review of the Marinwood Plaza housing proposal, ensuring that that meets all fire code, fire access requirements. Always wanting to look at these projects from the firefighter standpoint. Can they get there quickly? Are the fire protection systems set up adequately for them? Do they have proper access around the building, proper ladder truck access, so on and so forth? So staff has been involved in the kind of the planning, in the planning department process with Marinwood Housing, or that Marinwood Plaza. So, I mean, what's great about the street is it's exceptionally wide.
Right.
Right? That's an exceptionally wide street. It has very little traffic now because it essentially dead ends. From a firefighting standpoint, quick access, plenty of room around the buildings to work, no traffic impacts. So it's really kind of an ideal setup from a firefighting standpoint. But we're just ensuring that everything is the way we want it to be. So our firefighters, who will be there on a somewhat regular basis, mainly for medical aid, EMS calls, they have proper access, ambulance can get in properly, they can get upstairs, things like that. So that's coming along. And then the other project, obviously, is the Oaks Senior Living Community, which is farther down the street on Marinwood Avenue. A very large project. It's a beautiful project. I'm not sure if you've seen any of the architectural renderings yet.
They keep changing it.
I'm waiting for the bridge first.
The bridge, yes. The construction of the bridge extension of Marinwood Avenue. It consists of 2 3-story buildings with 162 senior apartments, 7 affordable apartments. It will have a 24-hour licensed residential care facility for the elderly, including 77 independent living units, 61 assisted living units, and 24 memory care units. We are looking at this through an especially important lens, because these types of facilities are what we call the daily drivers.
Right.
Firefighters are there on a regular basis because of the residents. They're older, they have medical problems, and they are just frequent locations for EMS calls. So we know that. It's not going to be a burden to your fire department. I think you could expect 1 to 2 calls per week coming out of this facility for medical aid and EMS transports to the hospital. But it'll be, from a firefighting standpoint, state-of-the-art, all fire protection systems imaginable, life safety systems, fire department access will be squared away. water for firefighting. We'll make sure everything is just 100%. So we're just monitoring this very closely and giving significant input while it goes through the planning processes. So I think that's about it.
Okay.
Is there anything that I can provide to you in the future as far as meeting information or input? I want to make this as valuable to you as possible. So,
Lisa, remember we kept asking about, there was a report at some point about, when you guys did your practice run, I think you guys did a practice run of evacuating, and then there was like evacuation route stuff that they were talking, didn't we ask about that, like, you know what I'm talking about?
I do, but that was not through Marinwood, that exercise that we
Okay.
did. Which was basically, it was, gosh, now it was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
And I felt like at some point somebody was gonna give us something about how our evacuation routes should be, and
So-
that there was another
Right, I guess
report.
maybe, yeah, maybe kind of, and, you know, just something for us to be thinking about. Some ideas surrounding just evacuation
Yes.
routes and, you know, where in the case of a fire, we can be thinking about as far as, you know, zones that
Sure.
people can go to.
yeah,
that residents
absolutely.
can go to.
Areas of refuge.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
In fact, the Blackstone matter has kind of, I think, re-energized this.
Okay.
So that Quinn Gardner, who oversees both emergency management and OES and defensible space for San Rafael, she now is getting in gear to work with Eric and his staff to look at evacuation from a holistic standpoint from Marinwood. Now, of course, the Blackstone neighbors want to look at evacuation on Blackstone, which is important, it's gonna be part of that, but we don't wanna just look at one street and walk away, we wanna look at all of the streets in all the areas of Marinwood. And so that's kind of the approach we're going to take, so that is just now getting out of the starting gates, and I'm hoping that Quinn and her team contact you in the next few weeks in order to kind of embark on this. Along with the Firewise, there was a lot of energy at the Fire Commission meeting for Firewise USA. A lot of energy. One of our inspectors who oversees the Firewise program in San Rafael was at the Fire Commission meeting and spoke. I think it went on for about 45 minutes,
At least.
the discussion. Joe Aiello is our inspector who oversees our Firewise communities, has a lot of experience with it, and shared his knowledge and his background. And the Fire Commission was very enthusiastic at getting this going, beginning with a community meeting that hopefully will be held in April, somewhere in
That's
there.
what we're targeting.
Yeah,
And,
and then launching the Firewise programs in Marinwood. So the evacuation and the Firewise communities, I think, will kind of be going in unison.
That's great.
And I think a lot of, hopefully, amazing progress can occur in the next several months.
Okay.
But I'll make sure that it kind of, the momentum gets going and then continues
That's awesome.
Yeah.
with our staff.
I would add on to that, through MWPA, a large portion, I think 20% of their funding is dedicated towards evacuation preparedness. So that a lot of what Chief Sen is talking about is actually coming through kind of that level of funding. I did speak with one of Quinn's staff yesterday, ironically, about this, and the one thing I also explained is that, in terms of evacuation and management of evacuation, it's really important here that he's gonna have some coordination with the sheriff's department as well as the highway patrol. Unlike the city where, they have their own police department within the city here, everything like that goes through that. And if you remember, back in 2020 or 2021, when the Lassen fire hit, and a large portion of basically everything north of Miller, or west of Miller Creek Road was under evacuation. That was all led by the sheriff and the highway patrol.
Right.
So I kind of explained that, so he understood
Well,
that.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
And
so that
then
he
2 years
understood.
ago, when they came through, that was also the sheriff that was driving through.
Yeah, but there was no evacuations ordered for that. I mean, what it comes down to for those is, it's kind of the incident commander on the fire side to alert evacuations needed, and that goes through the LEAs, law enforcement agencies, who then manage the evacuations and kind of get, because you figure on the fire side, their priority is the fire.
Yeah,
So it's the law enforcement that comes in and helps with the evacuation and all the planning. So this will all be part of a larger study that is happening and, you know, kind of identifying the main thoroughfare exit points for Marinwood, Lucas Valley, which the main thoroughfares obviously are Lucas Valley Road, Las Colinas Avenue, and Miller Creek Road. Because all things point you to the freeway, and that's ultimately where they want people moving towards. So I just made sure that he understood that we're gonna have to have some level of coordination, at a minimum with the sheriff and likely with highway patrol as well.
And
Because
there's
highway patrol was very active in establishing, not only roadblocks, making sure people weren't coming into the community, but driving the neighborhoods, and alerting for evacuation as well.
so then there's no cell phone service.
And so, so alerting for evacuation, does that also coincide with identifying where the evacuees are to go?
Right.
Okay.
Well, yes. That's why you do these pre-setups. And we haven't had that kind of a full scale, because I know at this time it was mostly an alert went out via Alert Marin. Not everybody's able to get it because this isn't the greatest cell phone pocket in the world. And when they were calling out, telling people to evacuate, they weren't saying, go to this place. They were
Right,
saying,
suddenly,
They're just
get
saying-
out of the place you're in now.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
everybody. went
Typically,
to-
it's leave the area,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
and for Ridgewood, it's out towards 101.
right,
Or
right, I mean,
out
well,
towards Smith Ranch.
you know, I know with some of the larger fires that have happened in California, of a family member who was right next to the Eaton fire. And I was, of course, I was seeing all of the notifications from that, and those residents were given locations to go to.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure who determined those locations, but, I think if we had something like that here, it'd probably be helpful too.
Oftentimes, and Chief knows a lot more about this than I do, that kind of information is determined at the point of event by the Office of Emergency Services, Office of Emergency Management, which is
Right.
run through the county and through the sheriff's department. So those kind of informations will go out, like evacuation center is being established at. Typically, it wouldn't be here because this is the neighborhood that is being evacuated. It might become here if it's somewhere, this is a smart landing spot for them. I mean, we're certainly a pre-registered Red Cross emergency facility. But yeah, so those are all good questions, Lisa, and I think good things to keep in mind as we go through this study as to where do you send people. I know for some of the larger events, they push people towards the civic center, let's say, where you have, ample places for cars to get into, and facilities where you can start. And I remember during the Lassen fire, having some of those conversations with OEM as well. And a lot of it kind of based on constant communication, especially once CAL FIRE gets involved in what is the probability of spread, how long do you think it'll take to get this under containment, how long do you think people will be evacuated for, do we need to establish emergency evacuation centers? So it's amazing, this is what these people do, they're amazing professionals in the moment of figuring out, here's what's happening, here's what we're gonna need, and here's how long we're gonna need it for.
So different than the days where you would just go back to bed when that hill was on fire.
I think the problem too is, it's like every situation changes, so it's like you can say, hey, yeah, get to the civic center, but if there's a spot fire and then this catches fire and now you're trapped and you have to go west, so it's like, you can't just have this, hey, yeah, get to here, when it could change
Sure.
by the minute, so it's
Yeah.
just a tough situation.
Location of fire and wind direction and wind intensity will kind of dictate the direction of escape.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when Santa Rosa was on fire, they sent everyone down, like, to get them completely out of the county and out of the way and off the roads
Right.
too.
Right.
The other thing that has come up kind of connected to this conversation, just you're asking us to kind of loop you in on some things, is our egress point on Miller Creek Road, as it approaches Marinwood Avenue, has all those giant eucalyptus, and I know the fire commission has talked about what like that potentially be, obviously in a very bad scenario, those trees being a barrier to exiting the neighborhood. So I don't know if that will come up in the
Well,
conversation.
it probably will,
Right?
yeah.
So basically
I'll
from like,
speak to Quinn about that.
okay, from like Las Colinas, where
Yeah.
Las Colinas
Sure.
intersects Marinwood, Miller Creek, toward the freeway.
Sure.
They've been trimmed quite a bit, but they remain there.
Okay,
It's
So,
trimmed a lot.
right.
And they'll just light the way out to the freeway.
Follow the exit lights.
As long as they fall in the median, I'm good with that. Any other questions, comments?
just the last thing I wanted to mention, on top of the report that I think Eric distributed, is our press release webpage. We do press releases on significant incidents, and Marinwood is included in that. So if you ever are looking for additional information on an incident that might have occurred in Centerville or Marinwood, it will be parked on that webpage there. In
I don't
fact,
think we got
I
it.
don't think,
That didn't make it to the revised version here,
Oh, okay.
Chief, the one that you sent me, but
Gotcha.
I have the link, I
Okay.
can forward it to you
Yeah,
all
cool.
afterward.
cool.
That's why we're,
Thank you so much.
Sure.
We really appreciate
no,
it.
thank you for having
And
me.
we look forward to working with you more closely. It's fantastic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment there?
I mean, a little bit. I mentioned it in the fire commission meeting before, that I think prevention is one of the greatest things that's happened to the fire service, especially working closely with Chief Sinek. It's awesome to see. You can plan as much as you want, but ultimately there's gonna be an emergency,
Right.
and we still have 6 people.
Yeah.
And it just, like, I don't know what else to say or do, and I know you're meeting and stuff, but I mean, the last meeting was what, November? So it just doesn't, it seems like it's a priority, but it's not a priority, and we still have 6 people, so.
Right. I can just say, and I mentioned it earlier, we have been ready to meet for a long time, but we can't force somebody to come into a room with us.
Okay.
So we're very happy and excited to get that process in person, going again.
Yeah.
So we feel you, and I know.
No, it's
we-
one thing to say, well, we had this meeting in December, but it's been years in the making.
Right, no, I totally get it. I get what you're saying, I'm not criticizing you
Oh, no.
for saying it.
Oh, no,
I'm just letting you know how we feel.
For sure.
And all we can feel is the optimism of San Rafael being ready to go, and coming to an agreement,
Yeah.
right?
No, for sure.
Perfect, thank you. All right, item J, Park and Recreation Matters, draft minutes of the Park and Rec Commission. Anybody, who attends that one now? I wasn't here at the last meeting. Okay.
No, I have nothing to report.
If,
It was a fabulous day, it was the best day of the year. It was a great meeting.
Before you move on,
Yeah, please.
just allow if, Chief Sinek won't be rude if, you wanna go on and have your evening.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
100%.
The park and rec stuff is really exciting, but I think you might want to start your journey home.
Yeah.
Chief, thank you.
And keep that as an open invitation, and if there's ever a night where you need us to move you toward the top of the agenda, we're always willing to do
Thank
that.
you,
Yes.
appreciate that, no,
Yeah.
not a problem, thanks.
Very
Good to see
cool.
you.
All right, have a good
Thank
night,
you.
appreciate your time.
We will be in touch.
All right, so, anything exciting from the Park and Rec Commission? No?
she's the last thing.
All right,
It was a good meeting.
okay.
It was the first time in a while, we had all 5 commissioners there.
Okay.
There was a lot of good discussion. I think the main thing that came out of it, just kind of looking at the bigger picture of capital maintenance needs, capital improvement needs. And so at the next meeting, and we kind of do this on an annual basis anyway, Luke and I will kind of be updating our identified capital needs, and kind of bringing that as well as, how staff would likely prioritize some of these projects, and sometimes that's due to the need of the project, and sometimes it's due to the feasibility of the project. Like, this is a project we can actually do, this is a project that if, resources weren't an issue, would sure be wonderful to have,
Right.
but
Okay.
resources are always an issue, so. Anyway, we'll be going through that exercise.
Okay.
I think that was kind of the kind of the key takeaways.
Okay.
And a lot of what we discussed in there, Luke's got in his report for this time for you guys, so.
Okay. Item J2, recommended pay schedule wage adjustments.
Yep, this, I definitely gave you a very detailed staff report for. I certainly wanna, before we even get into it, I wanna thank Luke, who did a lot of legwork on looking up a lot of the data and information that is within this report. As you know, a few years ago now, this is the third year we've gone through this process. The board adopted a policy by which to kind of follow on how we will look at potential wage increases and adjustments for non-represented full-time position. That's basically park rec, and then as well as our huge admin department, which consists of Tiffany for the most part. So we definitely did look through there, you know, a couple of things that we, you know, kind of our big picture takeaways that, you know, while we're certainly not leading the pack or even in the middle of the pack, which is pretty standard for every position we have here. On the park side, I feel like some of the efforts we've made in the last several years have certainly brought us within striking distance of the pack in a much more competitive manner, as you kind of see as we go through that. And then on that, in talking through, we've kind of, our proposed recommendation for this at this point in time would be looking at a 4% wage increase across the board for all of our park maintenance positions. I should mention too, we always look at the CPI factor for December 31st. This year, that CPI factor was at 3%. To put that number in a little bit of a context, that's also the number we will use when we apply CPI increases to our 2 special assessments. So they will, and that'll probably come at you next month, but those assessments will go up by that 3% mark. But getting back to this, what we identified for park and we thought was a very practical, affordable proposed increase was looking at that 4% pay schedule adjustment. That would have a total, just on the park side, net fully burdened impact as it stands right now, realizing there's still unknown variables going into the budget, what's gonna happen with our work comp rates, so on and so forth. But a little under $12,000 impact to next year's budget as opposed to if we did nothing at all. On the rec side, what we have found is we have not kept pace even with the rate at which other places are kind of increasing. And the other thing is, it's really hard for us to kind of get this information. I applaud Luke because he was the one who was able to chase a lot of these down. If you look under some of the comparables, what you will see is some are listed as fiscal year 26-27, while others are listed as this current fiscal year. Some he was able to find information that they already know what their pay scale ranges are for next fiscal year, which is when ours would take place. Others are comparing against this current fiscal year. So it's a little, not completely consistent, but I think it's valid. And looking through that and kind of talking about it and thinking about the district's resources, what we are proposing at this point in time would be a 6% adjustment across the board for all of our rec personnel. Total impact to that would be just under 27,000. There are more employees on the rec side than there are on the park side, which also explains why that one's a little bit more. And then on the administrative side, in keeping pace with it, also a 6% increase, and that would be a little over 5,300. As stated right now, what we have is just over $44,000 impact to district finances, fully burdened across the board. So that takes into account all of the ancillary employer costs that are involved, payroll taxes, workers' comp, pension contributions, so on and so forth. I will say, I think that given our resources and where we stand, I think it's reasonable. I think it is a nice, an appropriate way to look at it. I also think as we go through the budget, if there's an opportunity to, if even slightly, increase those to some degree, especially kind of on the rec and admin side, that we should pursue that. you can just tell that we definitely see, I mean, some of these numbers are pretty shocking within the rec, especially in these higher level positions. And I'm not saying that we're ever gonna compete or be within those scopes, because that's not what our agency, it's not the resources we have, and it's tough to kind of compare against some of these larger cities with, not even larger cities, but just much better resourced. I mean, this is the same issue on the fire side, it's the same issue with everything we do here. It's amazing what we get done with how little we have by which to do it. But the heart and soul of what we do is the people who do it. So, I would recommend at this point in time, we incorporate these as proposed as the budget continues and starts to get built out, and we kind of see how this plays, and even all the way up into between that April and May meeting of looking at it. If there is an opportunity even to make 6% become 6.5%, or 7%, or 4% to become 4.5%. And again, the rationale behind the differing wages is in looking at these kind of from a comparable and what the workload entails. We felt like we've done a really good job at kind of catching park up, and now making sure we're maintaining park within that striking range threshold. But rec has kind of slipped away a little bit, so we want to, the last 3 years in a row, park has been a higher percentage in terms of wages than rec has, and I think we need to flip that around to some degree. That's what this reflects. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If Luke has anything to add beforehand, I would certainly encourage him to do so. Again, he put a lot of time and work into this. He and I sat and spent a good amount of time kind of talking about this and what we were comfortable putting in here, and that's where we landed on. So I appreciate Luke for his time and effort on that.
Appreciate you guys being so thoughtful about it. Luke, do you have anything you want to add?
I appreciate the way you set that up and explained that, Eric. I think that was a good way to frame it. I would just say we're looking at all these positions from a standpoint of, one, where things are right now compared to all these other surrounding agencies, but also just looking down ahead, irrespective of who's in these positions currently, but just like how easy it would be to try to fill a position come down, down the road at our current salaries, and trying to look at for the programs that our staff are running and the things that we do, looking across at some of the other agencies that are listed here, to do the same level of programming. Sometimes you might see someone with, in say the assistant recreation director position, operating a program similar to a size program that we're running, but with 3 or 4 full-time coordinators working underneath them, whereas we're with one person doing that. So it's like we have comparable programs, but not the comparable staff resources going into them. It's something that we sometimes forget about, but it is something we're trying to look like, how can we bring someone in if we needed to, that would be able to step into these roles, and can we be competitive at that, So not just looking at where we're at, but trying to make sure that when, if one time comes when we need to actually be hiring for some of these positions, can we even do it? And so that was part of the conversation as well.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? I think it's, again, I know I already said it, but I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to not just make it some random number, but instead something that gives us a lot of context, and it's why it's so meaningful, right? And we agree. There's definitely, we need to plan for all things, but when we think about, somebody stepping out and what we would have to do to bring somebody else in is definitely one of those factors. All right. Then we're going to go to J3, Recreation and Park Maintenance Activity Report. Luke, still on.
Thank you. Yeah, so my report kind of is looking ahead a bit. We spent the last month really getting prepared for the camp registration opening and getting ready for our upcoming opening of the pool season, for the swim team starting in March, and then for the general public at the end of March or beginning of April. And just getting all of our things put together for our spring summer catalog, and that goes hand in hand with updating our website and all of our registration information so people are ready to sign up when the time comes. So we're doing a lot of prep work for that, and that's all going to start next month. March is the starting point for a lot of our stuff starting to happen, getting into the busy season as we call it. So staff have been great, just getting everything hammered out. The Marinwood Review, our spring summer catalog, has been published on our website, and we sent out some information letting people know that that's there to look at. And it's at the printer, and we expect that to be showing up in people's mailboxes within the next couple weeks. So we're excited about that, and we've been putting all of the different weeks of camp and aftercare and swim lessons, getting all that stuff inputted. I say we, it's mostly Carolyn. I haven't done any of it, but the rest of the department has been hard at work. Yeah, I wrote an intro, exactly. Making sure all that's correct, making sure the links all work, making sure that anyone that needs summer camp, when it comes to, it's so competitive on day one to sign up, that everything works, that they can get in, that they can access it, that the links all so we don't want anyone to be stuck trying to get through calling us, and it's a really busy week of people needing help with that, so we're trying to work out all the kinks on our end so that it's not, nothing on our fault, that's causing people to be blocked out. And that's all gone really well. Things are on track. We opened up registration for Marinwood residents on March 3rd and for everybody else on March 5th. And so we're just looking to have all of our stuff ready to go for that. That's been a big priority this past month. That'll be all of our summer camp, specialty camps, all of our swim lesson programs will all open up on those dates. And a lot of that stuff will fill up very quickly. So we're excited for, seeing how that goes, and it should be good. Another big thing coming up in March is the third annual trail running event called the Big Alta. We're excited. That's happening. I think last year it was in February, and this year it's happening towards the end of March. Over 3 days, the company Daybreak Racing is putting this trail running event on. It's a prestigious event. People come from all over the world to run this event. I don't remember exactly how many people. It's a huge number of people that take.
It's allotted. I think there's only 300 runners per race.
300 per race.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But they're this is like the elite, like who's who of this of this sport from all over the world.
These
come out
people
with this.
It's insane.
And so it's really cool to have this kind of happening in our backyard or our front yard.
You sat up there and watched.
Last year it was the guy that won the 28K. He did it in less than 2 hours.
Yeah,
it was just nuts.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And he was coming in. He was like,
yeah. So I don't understand. It's a pretty. I didn't really understand the trail running sport until this group approached us, and one of the partners in the organization lives in Marinwood, and
it's right next door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so it was cool just to get it. This is very eye-opening to this interesting sport, and we're happy to partner with them to host it here. And so all 3 races, there's a 100 or 50K, 100K, and 28K. Races on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they all kind of go different routes. The 100K goes all the way. Starts comes up.
That's going to be nuts.
But they all utilize some aspects of Queenstone Fire Road, and they all end in the park, and have a kind of awards and post-race celebrations.
It's so well organized. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really cool event. They do a really nice job. They do this, Daybreak Racing, they run these trail events. They do this full time. They do this all year, all over I want to say all over the world, but they do it all throughout the country, and I know they are international. And so it's a really cool organization, really great people to work with, and we're happy that they are able to come do that here and expose people to some of the great trails and those local Marinwood people that have participated, at least in I think the 28K probably most likely, maybe in the 50, 100, but
it was a mix. I was up on the hill last year, yeah.
So that's so it's a really cool thing. So we're excited for that. That's coming up towards the end of March, and we're kind of just finishing touches on our agreements with them and how that's going to work. But we hope the weather cooperates, and it's another great event. So we're looking forward to that. And then the pool season starts, like I said before, the Water Devils will be starting on March 2nd officially. They've got a couple introductory days the week before that, and then we will open to the public the last Monday in March. And so the staff's been getting everything ready for that, just making sure the pool's ready to go, cleaned up, getting all the lifeguards trained up for that, and everything's on track, and we're looking forward to having the pool open again. And I'll touch a little bit more on the maintenance on the other part of my report. But then in my last March report is that our annual winter wine tasting at Raise the Glass takes place on March 7th, and from 2 to 5 here at the community center, and we're looking forward to it. We've just had wineries cold calling us trying to come to this event for some reason. I don't know if it's because the wine industry needs more people. I'm not sure what it is, but we usually have to like really struggle to get enough people to come, and now we're having to say like, hey, no, we don't have enough room in the room for you. So it's been a nice problem to have, but the wineries all want to come to our event this year, and I think it'll be a record. We might have to
Because people aren't drinking.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say they love our event so much. They're getting desperate. But it's going to be a really cool event. I think we have 17. We got one more since this report was written, and we're trying to figure out how to fit them all. It's going to be crowded.
Have to use the small tables.
Yeah, well, we got some smaller tables actually just for this. And then we've got the band we've had the last couple of years, Duo Gaggio, French cafe band, is going to join us again. They're fantastic. So it's really a great event. We're really looking forward to it. And we're just going to have to figure out where to put all these people. But that's a good problem to have, and we're okay with it. So that's all the recreation stuff I wanted to touch on. Are there any questions about any of the rec before I move on to parks maintenance?
Yeah. I think my only thing was getting back to the race.
Yeah.
We have like this, I mean, like, it's really incredible, and I wasn't really in tune with it until last year. It's a really incredible opportunity to show off our neighborhood, and I was just curious if in your conversations, not that we want to monetize it, but is there some way that we can integrate like Marinwood into it? It's so unique, right? And it's so unique to have a guy who literally lives next door to this guy, step one.
Yeah.
But who wants to bring this to his neighborhood because he loves it so much. So I'm just curious if there's any, I don't know, like collaboration beyond just letting them run it here.
That's a great question, Chris. I think the one thing that we actually have talked about this in staff meetings, and which we have not done a good job of in the past couple of new things.
It's new.
Is just having information about what we do and what's available out and on display, and they've been very open to like do whatever we want to do, signage, having our stuff out, our catalogs out, having our flyers up, and having some banners and things. Just kind of promoting for people that are coming here that are local enough to take advantage of that stuff.
Right.
That it's a great. There's a lot of people.
It draws a fairly big crowd.
Yeah, people that wouldn't necessarily normally be aware of us. So
I guess this year, is it a little bit later than it was last year?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the pool will be open. Like, I'm just thinking people who are in fitness, pools, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll bring a push to make sure we have just the info up, and as far as beyond that, I'd be open to other things. I'm not sure.
I was just curious. I don't know if you guys recognize this about me, but I'm not much of a land mammal, so running is not really my thing. But it was super fun to have this in our neighborhood last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll turn it into a biathlon.
That's pretty good.
There we go. Get it in the pool.
You find your brother and you can do the swim part.
That's not what the biathlon is.
I know, but
You guys really don't want to see this guy.
I was gonna say a triathlon, but then we did it.
Right.
The bikers are the bane of my contentment
There you go.
sometimes.
Anyway, it was really like I spent an entire day down. I saw the start and then went up at the top of the hill at the top of Queenstone and like hung out with a lot of the people.
You visited the edge.
Sure. And then came back for like the second finish.
Oh, that's great.
It was super cool. Like I highly recommend people coming down and even just hanging out for a half an hour.
Yeah,
There's a great bench up on Queenstone.
There's two of them actually. I see them all the time. I'm ready for more. By the way, that should be my item of interest.
Yeah, you should. They did a good live stream last time too, I think.
Yeah, they do a live stream.
And then they had a really great presentation, or just kind of a recap video that they sent us, and we should probably put it on our website. They did a nice job of capturing the essence of the event and getting a lot of good video and photos and stuff too, which is
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, on the parks maintenance side of things, I mean, we've done a lot to try to prepare the pool facility for the season. We haven't had to do a whole lot. The the facility's been in good shape. We did some minor deck repair work, just patching some cracks and some crumbling areas around drains. And then we didn't have a whole lot, we went through and inspected all of our equipment, got everything up and running to the right speeds and everything for our pumps and heaters and things. And just a few minor repairs had to be made, nothing unusual. And then we did do a little bit, we were noticing with the rains that we were getting a lot of pooling in various places we didn't like in the top pool area, ground settling and things. So we added some drainage that's being finished up this week in the top pool area, just for water runoff and water splash out, just finding a better place for that to go. And we've got a few extra things to do, but things are on track to have the facility up and running and ready to go for having people down there. So that's been a big priority, and things are going well with that. And then I wanted to do an update on our pool replaster project, which originally we were planning to do during this current off-season, quote-unquote off-season. And when we started the process back in the fall to kind of get things moving for that, it became clear that the project was going to be a little bit longer than I had originally anticipated. Talking to a bunch of contractors and getting estimates, that some of the things were going to be pretty short, but then I think some of these people weren't fully aware of some of the things that we were going to need to do to pull our pool into compliance. The last time we had our pool replastered was in 2010, and just things in the code have changed that we haven't had to deal with because nothing has been updated since then. But with replastering the pool, now we have to bring our skimmer situation, our skimmer system up to code, which now requires what's called an additional equalizer. The skimmer baskets, the little flaps in the water, filter the water. There's like an emergency backup inlet down below under the water called an equalizer in case the water level gets too low. It protects the system from pulling air into it. That's now seen as an entrapment hazard, and they want all pools to have two of them so that there can't be all the pressure coming through one. And we would have to go in and excavate and cut open the deck in 9 places and add second one of these with the plumbing for it. It's a big project. We can get around that, however, by adding an auto fill feature to the pool that just has like a float, and as the water level drops to a certain point, it automatically adds water so that there's a protection against the water level getting that low, and we can get rid of the equalizers altogether and not have that process. It's much cheaper, it's much simpler, it's one little construction thing as opposed to 9, and that's something that we'll need to do. But that, because of some extra components like that, the project was a little bit more complicated than we originally foresaw. And we might have been able to get it done, but there was a good chance it was going to push our pool season back, and we didn't want to do that. And so we had some people look at the pool shell, evaluate that, and gave us confidence that we could make it through another season and push this project back to start work this upcoming fall, which would be as soon as the pool closes, hit the ground running. But in the meantime, we are pursuing the RFP, getting a contractor secured, getting all the permits and everything lined up, and so that when the time comes when we shut down the pool at the end of the season, everything will be in place. We'll already have everyone ready to go, and we'll be able to get that project done right away. So we've hired an engineering firm to help draft up new drawings for the pool. Our existing drawings date way back, way before even the last plastering, and were not adequate to use for a new project. So we've hired RSM Design and Engineering to help us create updated drawings. They came highly recommended from some other agencies, including Lucas Valley Pool. They were helped kind of save that project from becoming even more of a nightmare for that. You guys are familiar with that. They were brought in to help keep that project on track and make that happen, and they came highly recommended from the people that were involved with the Lucas Valley Pool renovation, as well as some more recent projects in Marin. So they've been great so far to work with, and they're also going to help us with the bid documents and helping put the RFP together for us to use to go out to bid for the contractor for this project. And so they've been great. We've had a first draft of drawings submitted to us for review. We've hammered out a few details, and those have been sent back, and so we should have the official drawings done very shortly. and they've started work on the bid documents, and we're expecting to be able to go out to bid in the next, a little bit later this spring, and have somebody secured by the summer, and in that process, the plans have been submitted to the county, or I don't think they've been submitted, or being submitted, that we.
I think they're finishing them off with some comment, and then they will be submitted through plan review, so that the plans will be approved, which is different than then issuing permit. So once the plans are approved and we have that, then we'll be able to utilize those through the RFP, but it'll be up to the selected contractor to then acquire all the permitting for it.
And for this project, we're not doing anything, we're basically just doing a repeat of what's been done before, in terms of just replastering the pool shell with the addition of this auto refill, which will be put in, I believe, like between the two water slides and the deck, will be kind of added into that spot there. We have water there already. It's going to be very straightforward, it sounds like, to do that, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And then if we have the resources and the funds available, we will hope to also replaster the top pool as part of that project, since they're already going to be here with all the equipment and materials. And so that's the plan, and we will be happy to update the board as that keeps moving along this year. But does anyone have any questions about that?
Do you guys have any questions?
No, it sounds really amazing.
It sounds like from the average pool user, when they walked in, despite the fact ultimately all this stuff is gonna be done, they're really not gonna notice anything.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be discernible changes?
I can't 100% say until we get full sign off
For
from the county in terms of if there's anything that we're kind of grandfathered in with a lot of things. There are things, if we did a bigger construction project, or made a big change to the deck or something, we would trigger some things that we would maybe need to add stairs, we would maybe need to change certain things. There are some bigger things, but we're hoping that it doesn't turn into a bigger project like that, and everyone I've talked to, we're confident that probably won't go that direction.
Great.
But yeah, it'll look the same. It'll just have a new sheen to it, new tile,
Absolutely.
and it will hopefully get us buy us a lot more time. The 2010 to now is a really good lifespan for a pool shell, and we're really happy that we've gotten so many years out of it. I think from talking to a lot of other agencies, it's actually an unusually long time for the shell to have lasted, and that's partly due, it was done very well the last time around, and we're asking to have this done as close to that quality of execution as possible. And also, not to toot my own horn, but just Gary before me, but just the quality of the water makes a big difference. The balance, and keeping things in balance, makes the water less abrasive to the pool shell and keeps things alive. So we try our best to keep the pool water good, and I think that has borne results with the pool shell lasting a long time. So.
Did we ever get a new pool chair?
You mean the ADA lift?
Yeah.
We have not. Ours is still going strong.
Do you think when the pool is really pretty and nice that we want to get a new pretty and nice one?
That is absolutely something worth looking into. We'll at least put a nice polished coat on there for you, but
Clothing, yeah.
Refinish it.
I will say, and Luke kind of left out the best part of all this, so don't shoot the messenger. Originally, when we had talked to, some of the contractors and guys got loose estimates, we actually had I think we were looking at somewhere like around 150 to 170,000 for this project. Is that kind of what
that was.
It's going to be significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
I assumed.
And that's why, as we were going through this, and kind of discovered, this engineering group, RSM, that it became very clear that we need to get these guys on board, and what we're spending them isn't super significant. I mean, there's an additional expense to that, but when they first came out after we heard, and they kind of did a walkthrough with us and started explaining everything and what all they do within the RFP and the plan creation, that we definitely needed new plans. And then we asked them to kind of provide some estimates, which were very, very far ranging based on the scope of work. They said, look, here's a complete scope of work of a lot of the other things that Luke talked about, improvements, upgrades, that will then trigger much more requirements from permitting and county, versus if you're just kind of looking at a replaster and then getting it up to basic code, that is nowadays. So you never know what these are gonna be until you put it out to bid, and people come back with bids based on, prevailing wage and to plan. But I'm gonna be shocked, we're kind of anticipating this is gonna be probably over a $300,000 project. We have Measure A for this. I gave you the Measure A numbers already, that I revisit, I think we're somewhere, I actually wanna look at that again really quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's not the full amount.
Yeah. I told you it was 260 plus another 60, so we'll have about 320 this year. Not to mention, another 120 that we would expect for the next fiscal year. So I'm hoping that we will have Measure A funding completely able to cover this.
Okay.
There is, again, you don't know what something's going to cost when you put it out to bid until you get the bids. There might be a need to dip into general fund revenue on getting the, we were having a conversation earlier about what are the projects that absolutely have to happen and need to happen versus the kind of pie in the sky dream that we would love to be able to do. This is a project we have to do. There's no two ways around it. So otherwise we're shutting down a pool, which would not go over well in this community at all. So we will certainly keep you informed. Once this does go out to bid, we're pushing to hopefully be able to get that done, before summer gets going this year, in terms of having the bids go out with an anticipated construction start date within the week after the pool closes, so we can beat the rainy season. When those bids come in, it'll be a sealed bidding process based on the threshold, and it would obviously come to the board for final approval on what would ultimately be the lowest qualified bidder. I feel much better. I think Luke and I, myself especially, went into this process hoping to rely on a lot of the documents that they used for last time. That's a simple replaster, and and myself especially, kind of quickly realized we didn't know necessarily what we didn't know. So bringing in this group, that this is what they do. They've done this for local high school districts in the county. They've done, as Luke mentioned, they kind of saved the Lucas Valley pool, because that was becoming a catastrophe for them, and they brought in this group to turn that around. I feel much better utilizing them. Luke's had a lot of communication with them back and forth, just even down to how do we want to address tile or what, so we've given them a lot of feedback, and they've been very good with us, but just giving you the update now that this is not going to be what we initially hoped it would be. It's going to be significantly more expensive, if not double the 170. I can easily see this getting into 350, maybe 4, I don't know what things come back as, but fortunately, if we can get another, 12 to 15 years out of this job for the next time, hooray.
And then we can design.
Start
a
saving now.
No, let's not do that.
Yes.
No, let's
Eric's like, I'll be gone by then.
I will put you in charge of environmental regulation for building redesigning a pool next to a creek.
Perfect.
That's his goal when he retires.
Yeah, that's when I know I can leave. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much, and we just appreciate everything you guys do. We're lucky to have you guys on staff, and the neighborhood is lucky to have you guys as well. Yeah. Item K, board member items of interest. Any requests for future agenda items besides a new pool?
You wanted more benches.
More benches. I have a
That's
thought.
Park and Rec.
I have a thought. Yeah, no, it's not.
That would go to me.
I don't need
Okay.
I'll make that
Can you make that? Yeah. I have 2 spots picked. I'm ready.
Oh, no, you just
Beautiful.
get benches. You don't get to pick the spot.
Oh.
Eric, the poll things that we had talked about, would that be something in this, or just?
We're looking at that.
Okay.
We had an incident over the weekend where there was a non-registered, not a rental group, but a group that had come to use one of the picnic areas, and after dark decided to pull their cars all the way up to the picnic area to then load the cars. Savon got alerted by one of her neighbors, who then alerted me. I called over to the fire department, asked them if they could take a look, because I wasn't at that time understanding what was going on. Besides, it seems like there's cars in the park.
And they weren't, initially they weren't loading the cars, they were just using it as
That's
a
an
light
option?
source.
No.
Oh,
So we're looking at if there is practical or reasonable, feasible ways to kind of better prevent vehicle access. It's incredibly hard because, you know, you certainly don't want to fence off the whole thing. And to their credit, it does appear that they used the sidewalk area that's down at the far end there and drove in that way and left that way. There was no noticeable damage to anything. I couldn't even find tire tracks or anything, but it's a situation we want to avoid. So I appreciated the heads up. I also called the non-emergency dispatch line for sheriff and asked if they could do a drive-by. The on-duty crew happened to be in there, so they walked over and kind of explained to me what the scene, that it was, looked like people were loading up and from their picnic area. So we don't know who they were. We have license plates, but there was no real damage to chase these people down.
Right, I mean, it almost makes you wonder, you know, like signage would be helpful to say, don't drive here.
Oh, there's signage, that wasn't stop this.
I mean,
I mean, they up over a curb.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
No,
it's
it
a hard
was-
curve all the way down there, it's not a driveway.
we saw, they had the music, they were having fun, I think it got dark, and they were like, we'll bring the cars. And they were continuing, and it wasn't until the fire came out that they were like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
I don't think people really always acknowledge that parks close at sunset either.
Oh, they definitely don't.
So that's like, oh, and it's dark over there. So.
Yeah, it's very dark. But yeah, so that was a fun Saturday night.
I enjoyed calling you.
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
All right.
But otherwise, no future agenda items or anything?
No.
I have no FEMA update.
I was just gonna say.
Did you like how I didn't add that? I wasn't gonna ask. I was gonna give you a month off.
Yeah. Well, as it stands
You
right
need
now,
something.
FEMA's temporarily furloughed anyway, so, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much. At 8:36, we're going to adjourn.